Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. As lots of people are interested, this is a cat update. Now in the video where I showed a cat on a site that has many cats because it's a national site, lots of individual centres around the country, and that site pulls them all together. There's lots of cats and they go from a kitten to groups of kittens, to a mum and kittens, to young cats, right up to elderly cats of like 15 years old. They cover everything. And that was, the one that I showed was one that I sort of picked out that could be suitable to live here. And I showed at the very end, did I press the button? Which you're all dying to know. Well, yes, I did. So that was early Monday morning, having chatted with Hannah over the weekend, and it comes down to the fact that my idea of not having a cat was so that I had freedom to go places and stay away, stop overnight, and not have to worry about what was going on at home. We turned that around full circle and looked at the practicalities of that. How long could I possibly stay away? Take a look around you. Take a look out through that door at this time of year. I couldn't be away more than a day at the moment. My bonsai would die. So in practical terms, how often would I decide to stay away overnight? And the chances are it would be very limited. And I was using that as a part of an excuse not to have another cat. So you can almost disregard that, can't you? And then we got on to the, sort of, well, if you're not going to stay away much, what's the reason you're not going to have a cat? The end is difficult. And you have to put up with that. So, anyway, I clicked the button. So an update. Wednesday, is it Wednesday today? Yes. So, that's Thursday today. Do you know, I don't know what day it is, because it doesn't matter to me. Till it gets to an item on my calendar that says you need to do this on this day, at which point I need to check what day it is, but at the moment I don't. Anyway, the cat moved from the general display to the reserved section. So I phoned as a general inquiry on the procedure, because it says if you fill an application form in, don't phone up to see how you're doing, because we won't tell you. You don't hear anything until we have a result, which means we will phone you and have a chat, because you're a potential person that can have the cat. Or we will email you to say you've been unsuccessful. And if that happens, don't get discouraged, because we can have up to 40 people applying for a particular cat. Now I think that's an overstatement, because in amongst all those cats there's ragdolls, there's British blues, there's purebred Persians, there's very expensive cats. And many people might want to go. I mean, ragdolls are very popular. The smashing cat, that's what Hannah's got. And they can be very expensive, so to adopt a rescue cat could be a saving. But as a consequence, you have to weigh up that other people may well have applied to adopt the same cat. So we have to bear that in mind. So you can't guarantee that just because I filled the form in and the cat's moved to reserved, that I'm on the list, yes. But the way it works is that when they have sufficient applications, no number was allowed to be given. I said, how many's that then? 5, 10, 50? You know, he said, well, it's a small team and each cat gets treated separately on its ability to be adopted. You know, if it's got one broken ear, one eye and a bent tail, its adoption is relatively limited. So, you know, they weigh that up. But basically, it's moved to reserved, which means the current applications are being reviewed with a view to make a decision. If amongst those applications there's nobody that they think is suitable, the cat will come back out of reserved and go back onto the main list of available cats. So the fact that it's moved to reserved is nothing to worry about. It just means that the cat is now the applications are being reviewed, of which one is mine. I've got this feeling that I'm not going to be successful. I don't know why, but it's just that the way the lady spoke, it's just that there are many people, you know, wanting to adopt cats. And when you get large numbers, she said, you know, if we've got 30, 40 applications for a cat and we start looking through the applications, we may well find a match, the 5th one. Well, if we find a match, we stop and we contact that person to see, you know, if they're still interested and all that sort of stuff. So the rest don't get looked at. So that's how they work, yeah? So if this one is not successful, will we look for another one? Yes, we will. Having made my mind up that the logic for not having a cat isn't logical. It's not logical at all. So we will proceed and we'll see how we get on. What else? Politics. Our new Prime Minister has got a nice little habit now. At 6 o'clock in the morning, each day he announces some sort of thing to help out people or businesses. So one a day so far. I don't know whether he can keep that up. But the first one was they were going to cut the VAT on energy bills for domestic users. And everybody goes, whoopee, that means we've got more money in our pocket. And then you hear the actual analysis, around £45 a year that will save us. Let's have a look at that from my point of view. £45 a year, that's not even £1 a week. What am I going to do with that? I'm going to go have a big spend at the supermarket each week? No. It's next to useless in reality, but it's a start. That's how it was purported to be. It was a start. And then the next one, what was the next one? The next day was, oh yes, bus fares for most places in the UK, not around London because they have their own system, but it's going to be capped at £2. Well, lots of people use the buses to go to work, you know, to get to do their shopping. People live in rural areas, they can use that to get to towns. People who can't own cars because they either can't drive or can't afford a car. So capping a bus fare is pretty good stuff. It's only going to affect people who use buses. It has no effect on me. And they also forgot to mention, this is the media, not only the politicians, it's the media, forget to get hold of the reality. Many counties in the UK have an elderly bus pass system, like me. So once I reach retirement age, I get a free bus pass. So capping the bus fares makes no difference to me at all because I travel free. The only difference it would make is if I wanted to go somewhere on the bus early in the day, because I can't use my bus pass until 9:30. So if I wanted to go quite a long way or something and I wanted to start at 7 in the morning or something, I would have a £2 fare to get to the first stage. Because that's the thing with the buses in this country, you can't go very far because they're all centralised around a point. Like all the buses round here, they go from Lymington, I forget how far out they go, and then they come back round to sort of, you know, Poole and Swanage, and that's as far as they go. If you want to go any further, then you have to get off and get on another bus. So anyway, so that doesn't help. And then the one today, which everybody's jumping up and down about because it's marvellous, is they are going to reduce the business rates for pubs, clubs and small music venues by 20%. Have the media got their heads around that? No. Because it was already proposed that it was going to be reduced by 15%. So all they've done is upped it to 20. So they've only increased it by 5%, not 20. The media really do not do their job in analysing these things properly. Mind you, they do get short notice. The morning news on the BBC starts at 6 o'clock, and within minutes of them firing up and getting their hot coffee on the table and saying good morning and what's coming up in the programme, they've got one of these stuck in front of them. So you can sort of understand them not getting to grips. But who knows what we will get in forthcoming days. But when you look at a pub, and what do pubs sell? They sell beer, lager, wines, various things like that. But if you look at a pint of beer in a glass, the amount of profit that the pub can make on that is something like 5%. It's something like 40 or 50% of that pint of beer is some form of tax. You've got business rates tax, you've got VAT, it just keeps piling on. Now this country is just taxed to the hilt. Businesses, ordinary people, even pensioners. And rumour has it he's not going to alter the thresholds. Because that's what when this government got in, that's what the last Chancellor did. She froze the thresholds. So the pensions are in a lock. One of three variables, of which the highest is applied to the state pension. So basically the state pension goes up by one of three options, and it's always the highest that's selected. It's called the triple lock. And basically ordinary people now getting their state pension, because they've frozen the thresholds, the pension goes up but the threshold doesn't. So people who get a pension are now subject to tax. That is outrageous. You've been taxed all your life on your income, your wages, everything you do, every which way you turn, your car, your insurance, you're driving on a road tax. You're taxed up to here, and now they're taxing pensioners' pensions by not moving the threshold with the inflationary increase, which the previous government, which everybody thought were rubbish, always did. They always increased those thresholds, and they moved them up quite dynamically in the earlier days, to the point where they could just move them up an amount to keep the pensioners out of the tax bracket and make sure that people on low incomes didn't pay so much tax. This lot froze it. Watch what you're cheering for. Yeah? Simple little things like that get brushed to one side and forgotten. Yeah? The threshold is the point at which you pay tax. And if it stays still and your wages keep going up, you're paying more tax. All the time, more and more tax. And I don't see an end to it, because they don't use our money wisely. There's a point, our money. It's not their money. It's our money that they've taken away from us without us having a choice. That's borderline theft, isn't it? Somebody comes up to you in the street and takes your money away, it's theft. The government seem to be allowed to do it, but yeah, they don't seem to use it wisely. You know, these harebrained schemes and, you know, I don't know. Anyway, back to the cat. I will keep you posted, but at the moment I am in a state where they said that they will review and let me know within 10 days. Yeah? Well, I only filled in the application form on Monday. It could be the end of next week before we hear about this one. And I'm not prepared to apply for others until I've heard about this one. So that's where we are with the cat. Maybe there will be a cat here in the not too distant future, but you know, as I said, they've said they are a small team. It's a charitable enterprise, so everybody's volunteering and they do what they can, you know, with the staff and the funds that they've got. And I'm quite happy to be involved with a system that works that way, if you see what I mean. The cat won't be free. It's going to cost me quite a lot of money. It's not cheap. But what you're paying for is the care and the food, the vet's bills, any vaccinations. You're paying for the care that the cat's had to have since it came to the centre. And on this one's profile it doesn't say why it's at the centre. A lot of them do, you know, when its previous owner sadly passed away or was found on the streets. You know, there's all these reasons why a cat can be at a homing centre. This one didn't have a reason on it. I will ask if I get the chance, but we shall see. Anyway, so that's a cat update. Out here we've got, the fan is off at the moment, that needs to go back on. It's not as hot as it has been, but we are 27, 25, we're at 26 degrees, that's with the door open and with the fan off. Okay, it's only been off for the duration of filming this video, which is not long, but it's off, so it's not pushing the hot air out. And if you won't be able to see it now, let's get the camera off for a minute. Let's get back to the orchid, shall we? Flipping cat nonsense. Right, and why I want to get this off and back onto my hand is to show you the roof. Now, as I've said, as the summer progresses to its peak, the shadow is on that line. It's on the midpoint. It's starting to move, and when the sun first appears on the roof, it's quite a bit farther down now, and it's moving away. It arrives on the roof and moves away quicker as the season goes on. So whereas it was arriving about 11 o'clock and starting to heat the place up, it's 12 o'clock now. So that's an hour when I haven't got to have the door open. Also, it finishes earlier. So the amount of time I'm having to have the door open is now 4.5 hours. As opposed to nearly 6 back in midsummer at the high point. So we're doing better. And as I said, with the humidifier, as soon as I shut the door, I put the humidifier on and get it back up to something sensible. It's down to 54 at the moment, which is too low, but it's only going to be for a few hours. You know, you sort of think of your plants in daytime. Well, there's nighttime as well, you know, so the humidity in here is going to be more than acceptable for nearly 20 hours of the day. It's only not going to be so good for 4 or 5. I'm happy with that. To keep the temperature down, I'm happy to work like that. I could do without the flies in here, but I'm having to put up with that. Yes, so that's where we are. That's the position with the cat. I'm sure people are interested. Not everybody's interested. Some people, I'm sure, don't give a monkeys, but quite a few people seem to be interested. Quite a few people seem to be keen on me getting another cat. And I've now got to the position where I'm happy to move forward. At some point, I will get another cat, but it'll happen as and when. As I've said, this one is up to 10 days before I'll be notified, and they've said don't be disappointed if you're unsuccessful. because most people who apply are unsuccessful. You know, if you're going to get 20 applications for a cat, only one person's going to be successful. So, you know, you have to bear that in mind. So it could take a while. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I was just looking outside to see if there was any butterflies around, but at the moment, no. It's quite still out here. There's still plenty of young birds whizzing around. Young robins. I had a young robin following me while I was watering the stuff in the garden this morning. It actually walked behind me, about 2 foot behind me. Wherever I went, it was just behind me. Just followed me. I think it was waiting to be fed. And of course, because I was there, Mum and Dad were deciding not to come and feed it, so it was patiently waiting. Right, so there we are. That's it for today, and I will see you in the next one, whatever that is. Bye for now.